listeners. Welcome to the Music Festivals podcast. This is the show that helps you get to know music festivals, festival venues, and campgrounds before you go. I'm your host, Neighbor Nate, and I'm glad you're in the neighborhood. Welcome back, neighbors, to episode number 42 of the Music Festivals podcast. This is the show that helps you get to know music festivals, festival venues, and campgrounds before you go. And as always, I'm your host, Neighbor Nate. And today we are continuing our series on the upcoming Pickin on Picnic. And that's happening July 10th through the 13th at Lost Hill Lake in St. Clair, Missouri. And my guest today is from a very high energy genre blending quartet that's from Wisconsin. And these guys are gaining a lot of attention for their unique mix of bluegrass and funk and jam influences. So you can call it jamgrass, you can call it newgrass, funkgrass, whatever you want. But these guys should definitely be on your must-see list for this summer. So I am delighted to welcome as my guest today, Ben Majeska, who's acoustic guitars, electric guitars, and lead vocals for Armchair Boogie. Welcome, Ben.
Hey, man. Nice to be here.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you guys on. Like I was telling you before the show, I am anxiously awaiting my chance to see you guys live. I have not been able to see it yet, but I'm a big fan listening on Nugs and Spotify and everything else like that. So I appreciate you jumping on. How's the summer shaping up for you in terms of it seems like right now the tours are just kicking off and you guys are getting busy. So how are things kicking off right now?
Yeah, it's going good, man. It's been a good year so far. It's festival season really ignited right now in May. We kind of just got it's a lot of festival plays starting right now. Sometimes we feel like we have to wait till Memorial Day weekend in June to really kind of get cooking on the festival circuit. But yeah, we just got back from Indiana, a festival called Riddle Point Boogie. We're heading to Greenbelt this Friday in Iowa. We got Dark Star and Cave Jam coming up, and looking beyond that, lots of fun stuff. Yep, of course, the Pickin on Picnic. We got our own festival, the Boogie Down, and yeah, it's going to be a busy summer. We're getting around a lot. We're also kind of giving a lot of love to our home state of Wisconsin. We've just, I don't know, you're always trying to find the balance of how often to play your home turf, right? And we feel like we kind of owed it to our fans to be around a little bit more this summer. But it doesn't mean we're not, stretching out and getting all around the country still. We're just doing a whole bunch. But yeah, man, ready to get to work under the sun.
That's awesome. Yeah, rocking the hours in the van in between shows, I'm sure. So it's you and Augie Doherty and is it Eli Frieders?
Yep.
Yeah, Eli Frieders, he's electric bass and backing vocals, and then Denzel Connor. And as far as I can tell, you and Doherty met when you were both students at University of Wisconsin. So tell me a little bit about how you guys first came together and what was the origin of deciding, hey, we want to create a bluegrass band.
Yeah. Well, Stevens Point is in central Wisconsin. We were all going there about, I don't know, I guess at this point about 10 years ago, which is crazy. We're going to hit 10 years as a band later this year. So That's cool. This is, it's getting further and further in the past, but I should still have the story together. This university is famously where some of our really good friends, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, formed. And it's important to the story because there's a really big bluegrass scene going on because Horseshoes and Hand Grenades was playing on campus all the time. They were on the scene. There was just a sweet live music scene. And that's exactly why I chose to go to Stevens Point. I kind of caught wind of it before I even went there. And I was like, oh, I wanted to, chase the music thing, really. So I was there and playing in the funk band, playing some rock bands. Augie was playing in an indie rock band. He was actually playing electric guitar in that. Same with Eli. They were both in an indie rock band called the Hymatics. And so we all were busy with different things that were not bluegrass, but there was a bluegrass scene there. Meanwhile, I loved bluegrass, didn't play it very much, but when I met Augie, I don't know, we were playing some house party or something. We crossed paths and had heard about each other, and I found out he played the banjo. And, I wasn't really a bluegrass guitarist until around this time. I was mainly on electric guitar. And next thing you know, I was like, oh, there's a great excuse to start trying to, play acoustic guitar and figure this bluegrass thing out. So yeah, we were like a duo in 2014 for maybe a year or something. We were focused on our other projects, but then their band broke up, the indie rock band, and Augie's like, "Hey, how about we bring Eli over, like to play some bass with us? How about we bring the drummer over and just add a little something behind this banjo guitar duo?"
Yeah.
And there was no intention of sounding this way or that way really about it. We just knew we wanted to play some fast stuff and some kind of folky stuff. And it wasn't Denzel. We added Denzel a few years later, but really that's when Armchair Boogie started, was when like the 4-piece began, and we got to open up for Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. They just kind of showed us that you could be in a band and you could travel around and it could be successful. I'm not sure without that example right in front of us that we would have seen it as possible or taken the leap ourselves.
Yeah, that's really cool. You mentioned too that you didn't really start on bluegrass. What was that transition like for you, going from electric to, predominantly acoustic and, finger picking and just the general flat picking style and whatnot? Was it a hard transition?
It took a while. I think I'm a guitar teacher too, and I've really gotten way more practice since then. Like learning like a new genre on an instrument you already played absolutely changed the way I looked at it. I was young and I guess kind of ignorant to a lot of technique things and practice things. I can get by an electric guitar, but it's easier sometimes to play the lighter strings and hide behind some overdrive but on acoustic you have to play clean, really, is the nature of it. There's not a lot to hide behind. Also, bluegrass is a lot faster than the music I was playing at the time. So I used to just do like anyone would if they try and play as fast as they can on guitar. You just tense up and which is not the way at all. So thank goodness I dialed that in, because there's a lot of broken strings along the way on stage. I remember breaking 3 strings in the period of an hour on a hot summer day at a festival, and I was like, I gotta work on this. So anywho, I just had to get really diligent about learning fiddle tunes. I listened to a lot of bluegrass, so I had an ear, but I just needed to figure out how to get it in my hands. And now I would say I'm primarily like a bluegrass guitar player. I still play electric and I got funk bands and stuff, but it was a great transition. It was challenging, but I wanted to get after it. And
cool. Yeah. What so I'm curious too, as you kind of then went back to playing electric and stuff like that, was there any specific things from just getting used to bluegrass and the technicality of it that you rolled back into the rest of your playing? Or
yeah, I think some kind of country picking and rhythmic styles, a lot of the boom chuck on acoustic kind of translated to some fun country rhythms and stuff on the Telecaster and things like that. It's electric guitars handle a little bit more like a sports car, after you go from playing medium gauge strings on the acoustic and the D28 and all that. So also just trying to be more relaxed. I think that was the biggest thing, because in order to play fast, you gotta, and even if you're playing slower, you just gotta play relaxed. And I don't know, I was I just learned how much tension I was holding in my hands, and now that's a daily effort every time I pick up the guitars. Because if you want to play fast, it's just gotta feel easy. And but yeah, it's a joy, man, to unlock that stuff and then move it around, these techniques between the electric and the acoustic. It really helps you see the instruments differently. And I don't know, I'm a forever student. If I'm not teaching guitar or performing guitar, I'm practicing it or I'm studying and things like that. And it really instilled a lot of just kind of a commitment to the craft.
I mean, it's good advice too, because I do think I'm a terrible acoustic guitar player, but I do tend to tense up a lot because I don't know what I'm doing. So that's good advice to kind of just relax a little bit and not try to choke the neck out, I guess.
Yeah. I think the thing is that you think you gain more control when you're tense on things, right? But in all reality, you're just kind of training your hand to be really tense. And if you can just let things be loose and make your mistakes and then correct them while keeping your hand loose, you just train that muscle memory to eventually be that way. But boy, does it take a lot of repetition, and then
Yeah.
it's easier said than done, the whole relaxing thing.
So you said you teach too. Do your students find it cool that you're an Armchair Boogie, or do they not know or care? Or
I would say some do. I've definitely gotten a lot of students from being in Armchair Boogie, and word gets out that I teach guitar and stuff. So that's kind of like, that's fun. A lot of the kids, I guess they think it's cool. Most of them don't like look into it, I feel like, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the parents definitely think it's really cool. The parents, like, if I'm like, hey, I gotta go on tour for 2 weeks, no one's ever like, oh, it's like, because I make make sure the kids got enough stuff to work on and stuff. But they're always like, oh, cool, have fun, where are you going, this and that. And but yeah, it's good. It's great. And it kind of, if I ever ran short on students, I'll just say it on the mic sometime, I guess. That good lesson.
I mean, as a parent, like if I was, having my kid learn guitar from somebody, a professional musician is probably a good bet on that, So you guys, you have 3 albums right now. So 2018 was self-titled Armchair Boogie. 2019 was What Does Time Care? And that was actually a crowdfunded album. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So how did that play out? Like, what made you guys decide to turn to crowdfunding to try to, boost the funds to get that?
Oh, being broke, just being a younger version of ourselves, and needing to rely on the community a little bit more, but also just knowing that our community was happy to support us. It was definitely like, it's a lot of effort with the Kickstarter campaigns, because you typically, like, if you donate this much, we do this. And if you donate this much, we do this. And we even got to the point of like, hey, if you pay this much, we'll do like a private show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there was like, work on that front. But it was really cool, a good experience to, just see how like willing and excited the community was to help out and get a little something in return. But yeah, it feels like forever ago, but it was definitely a joyful process. I mean, not like, you obviously want to meet the goal, and there's some days where like, oh, are we going to get here? And
yeah,
we got there. That's an album we're proud of for that, and a few other reasons for sure.
I mean, it's cool because people definitely will put money behind something that they care about and or like, and it seems like you guys raised the money to do the album. So it definitely was a testament to the fact that there's people out there that are watching what you're doing. Hard Times and Deadlines was 2024, so that's another studio album, and that came out last March. Talk a little bit about what inspired that album. What was behind going into the studio and making that one?
Yeah, it's a different process, I guess, in Armchair Boogie than a lot of other bands I hear. Sometimes we're just kind of writing songs along the way, and we hope that I don't know, like all of a sudden, hey, we have enough songs here, this can start building an album. That kind of gives you a push to write a couple more to really round it out. I think that overall, like, a theme of the album is just like really just hard times sometimes, and getting through it, of course, which is but saying it in our own way and through our own songs was cool. And the happy kind of accident was, I think a lot of the songs really like share this theme, even though it's totally unintentional. And then it became easy to like name the album kind of off that theme and stuff like that. So it was fun, man. It was good to get in the studio. We've been going to the same Lunar Lava audio for all of our albums, and it's fun. We like you said, it was a 5-year gap between the album before that, so we were definitely feeling overdue. And the hard part about the studio is that, like, we don't, if you're not in it every day, you have to almost practice being in the studio. Like, your first time in it is like just a different experience. And like, at least for me, I did not perform. I got it done, but the first couple times were like rough. You're trying to get out of your head. You're trying to create this live feeling, and which is, for me, way easier to do on stage. Give me one crack at a solo live, I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're like etching it into stone and things, and you have that pressure of like, oh no, everyone's this is what they're gonna hear. It was a big mind game. But thankfully, I think this is like the smoothest of just like, I don't know. though we hadn't been in the studio in, you know, a bit of time, there's a little bit of a maturity kind of going on with, I don't know, just accepting like takes and being like, hey, maybe I'm being a perfectionist about this, but I'm sure, you know, that when I hear this solo a few months from now, I'm not going to have the same like under a microscope view of it, is what I've learned. Because if you're really trying to be perfect, it's always aiming for the feel more than like the perfect thing, right?
Right.
And so that's been a great learning lesson that I was glad stuck with me. I finally felt like a little bit of a like, hey, I know what I'm doing in here.
That's cool.
Still
That's
have my
cool.
moments, but it was great to feel some growth there for all the guys.
Between, you know, studio time and then touring, and then you guys also have a huge online presence. So YouTube, Spotify, Nugs, everything else. You guys are a small business, essentially. All bands are small businesses, right? How do you keep up with it? How do you divide and conquer between all the things that professional musicians have to keep up with today?
Yeah, dude, it's a lot of work, man, and it's kind of like one you could work 24 hours a day at this stuff. I feel like whether you're writing songs or just trying to, you know, get the behind the scenes work done. Thankfully, we have a great manager and agent who do, you know, some of that all the big picture stuff and a lot of the nitty gritty for us. But as a band, we're very self-sufficient. We kind of figured out a lot of roles before we went into things, or as we went along. I do all the social media stuff, for like the most part, just like, you know, kind of keeping that fresh. And of course, the guys help. Like we tend to try and capitalize on the goofballs that we are. Like if you watch our promo videos, it's not always us playing and being like, hey, see us here this time. It's just like ridiculous video editing and just like, I don't know, we spend a lot of time just laughing at ourselves and trying to make that our route to get to people. And of course dropping live vids and stuff like that, but we tend to lean into our goofy side, our personalities on social media. But as far as delegation of other tasks, our banjo man Augie is like our treasurer. He does a lot of just like all the money stuff, you know, which is there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, keeping an eye on, you know, saving up for a new van or van repairs or this or that or hotels and payouts, blah, blah, blah. Stuff I definitely don't want to deal with. So thank you, Augie. Eli, our bass player, does all the merchandise. So Eli is always constantly doing like, you know, merch invoices and intake and selling it, making sure we're ordered up, getting posters organized with artists. That's a whole heap of work in itself. And then Denzel, our drummer, has been really awesome in the in-ear monitor world that we've recently been coming into. He's kind of like our go-to guy on this big in-ear monitor rig that we're lugging around all the time and that every sound guy wants to know about. And we're just pointing at Denzel for all the questions. But yeah, man, everyone carries weight, and that's why we've been able to do this for 10 years. We get along. We all have tasks. Everyone picks up their part, you know, and it's awesome. It's awesome to just like have that camaraderie and that teamwork. We're all pretty set on just being as efficient as possible. And I mean, man, the system, every time we go out, you know, we know exactly where everything goes in the van when you load up. It's like
get ready.
It's not just the drummer doing the drums. It's like we got our puzzle piece, and so we all we just love that stuff, getting things in order, you know.
I mean, I think it's just cool to hear though, because a lot of people, I think their perception is, you know, if you're in a band, all you got to do is play the music and there's people that do everything else for you. And the reality of it is the large majority of bands are not in that situation, right? Like they're running their own business. So it's interesting to hear how you guys kind of divide and conquer on that as well. All right. So if you're in the audience and you're watching this very closely, you figured out that we somehow managed a costume change right in the middle of this conversation. It's because our internet bogged out when we were doing the first recording. So we're picking it back up where we left off. But Ben, we were talking about the music festivals you guys are doing this year in 2025. So there's a laundry list of these things. But Greenbelt is actually this Friday, and that's May 16th. And then I just noticed you guys are doing Dark Star Jubilee, so I'll be at that one. That's in my backyard. And then the same weekend, driving straight from Thornville down to the Caverns in Pelham, Tennessee for Cave Jam, which is also a great festival. Saw that you're doing Blue Ox, that's June 26th through the 28th, and then Grassfire at Nelson Ledges Quarry Park, July 3rd through the 6th. Out of those, or any other of the festivals that you guys are doing, what are you most excited for?
Oh, geez, man, that's a great question. I think, of course, excited for all of them. I mean, most of all the ones you just named, I think are ones we have not been to yet, which is kind of fun. It's always really fun to we've heard about the Caverns and Cave Jam for, as long as it's been a thing. And just you're always kind of crossing your fingers when you see your buddies playing there. So I'm like, oh, hopefully we get the invite one of these days. And same with Dark Star, man. I've been hearing about that since college, and here I am, many years later. And we're gonna attempt to make both those in one weekend. I know that when they came up, we're like, well, we have to play these two, and these logistics are crazy. It's like we probably play late night at one and then gotta drive 10 hours to get to the one, but I don't know. But it's gonna be a little bit of a crazy run, man. But that's kind of the adventure. You get to see some new fests and some sweet locations. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think you guys will really love some of these venues, particularly Nelson Ledges, one of my favorite venues in Ohio when you guys are there. And that's over July 3rd through the 6th. So that's the 4th of July festival. So I have a feeling they're going to be doing it up for that one, fireworks and the whole shebang and everything.
nice.
Do you guys, when you play festivals versus like indoor gigs or your own gigs, do you prepare any differently, or how does that go for you guys in terms of the set list?
Yeah. Venue plays, it's a lot of times we end up doing 2 set shows and at venue plays and club dates, which is great. I mean, gives us a lot of extra time to explore jams and play a lot more songs, of course. Festival time slots, as most of us know, are typically not like 2 set things. So you're kind of mashing things, and it's not like we can still have a lot of magic happen in 90 minutes or whatever, or 1 hour, whatever the set is, but it definitely makes you want to showcase, showcase yourself the best you can, and maybe what would be considered a slightly limited time or something. But for us, we always make sure there's at least a couple good jammers, right, that we can really get out there. And then, of course, some of the heartfelt numbers or quick bluegrass riffs that can just kind of fill up the space too, and show that we got that in us too. So, but no matter what, man, we're always changing the set list up, whether it's festivals and if it's a place we haven't been before, we might try and showcase things that we assume they haven't heard. Assume that it might be most of those people's first time seeing you, so then you don't have to do as much of the deep cuts, but we still try and throw some curveballs up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place to get exposure, to wider audiences that may or may not have heard about you guys. Do you see an uptick, like after you play a festival, you go back to your Spotify, do suddenly the number of listeners or things go up on that, or do you see any trends on your website or anything?
Yeah. I don't like super, I try not to overlook at that stuff, but I always am, posting on social medias and always noticing a lot of extra follows. Tour, you're always jumping up a couple hundred and stuff like that, even just from a week. And it's awesome to see that people want to kind of keep in touch. And it's good to remind them of that stuff too, even from the mic if you can. And but yeah, all those follows go a long way, and it's fun to always kind of see like the immediate result of appreciation of whatever you're doing there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about festivals. I always walk away with like 3 or 4 bands that I'm like, I've heard of these guys or never saw them or didn't even know about them, and now they're on my list, and I'm listening to them on the way home. You guys probably don't have a lot of downtime, especially if you're driving from Ohio to Tennessee. But if you do get downtime at festivals, how do you like to spend it?
I mean, if we can arrive early, especially if we're on the road and actually enjoy ourselves, there's a lot of times on the road you're in and out, right? Like we'll probably be pretty in and out of Dark Star, which I've heard about for years, and I wish we could have more time. Like a lot of times it's hard to leave a place, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
sometimes we're lucky if you get booked like 2 days at a festival and stuff like that. It's like, oh, sweet, we can all like hang out here for a couple of days and actually like take it in, you know. Um, but of course, we like to hang out at the fest and see other bands. But we're always, whether it's a festival or we're on tour, any off days, we're always trying to explore like the nature around the area if we can. We're not big city slickers. We try and just be like, hey, is there a hike nearby or something, you know, some lake we should jump into? And you know, it's ideal if we have that kind of time. Kind of like you mentioned, this Nelson Ledges place is supposedly pretty sweet. So we might have to think about that ahead of time. Be like, hey, let's
Yeah.
make sure to get there early, you know, just to jump in the lake or something.
Yeah, and outside of the Quarry Park, if you go about a mile down the road, there's actually Nelson Ledges State Park, which is really cool hiking, like in the middle of
Nice.
like stone stuff. So yeah, it's a great place, and I hope you guys get some time to do that stuff. So you guys are again one of the festivals you're playing July 10th through the 13th. 10th through the 13th is Pickin on Picnic, and that's Lost Hill Lake, St. Clair, Missouri. And you guys are playing with some great bands in the lineup. So Split Lip, Brayfield, Larry Keel Experience, Feed the Dog, and then Del McCurry Band, which, you know, the legend himself. How did you come to know Ryan Kemp and his team and get involved with the Picnic?
Yeah, it's a great question. It was pretty epic tale actually. I don't know if I can make it as epic in words as it was, but like I think it was 2018. Ryan set up a tour with three bands. It was Armchair Boogie, Gin Strings, and Grass Fed. And both those other two bands are not really playing anymore, but they're all like in different bands now. But it was crazy because it was three bands and a ton of dudes, and we all just I think we did like Kansas and St. Louis, and it was like an extended weekend, probably 4 shows. But
Yeah.
Ryan put it all together, and it was, well, one, we had never toured with like another band for multiple dates, let alone two bands, so that was
Okay.
wild. It was super fun, three bands playing every night. We all got Airbnbs together like every night too, which was pretty insane.
Yeah.
Just like 20 people. But dude, it was unforgettable. It still gets brought up all the time. One of the guys, John Miller from Gin Strings, is a guitarist for Feed the Dog now. Uh,
Hmm.
the people in Grassfed are in a band called Moonshroom now. So I still get to see
Yeah.
all these people, and it still comes up. But that's how I got to know Ryan. I believe it was even a pre-party for the Pickin' on Picnic back then. It's hard to recall because now it's like 7 years ago. But we, of course, hit it off with him right away and have played it every year we could. I think there was a year where it was the same weekend as our festival called the Boogie Down.
Okay.
But our festival is now September 11th through 13th this year. So we're not in the summer, and it allows us to play a festival we really love. You know, you never mean to step on each other's toes or anything. There's no like, you know, no animosity, of course. He's like a super good friend to us, but only so many weekends in the summer. So we're glad that our festivals aren't, you know, we can play his and ours.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and I've heard, so I've never been to Missouri, and I've heard great things about the venue. I know it's going to be the last year at Lost Hill Lake, but what are you looking forward to most about getting back to the Picnic? You guys have been there a couple times, so yeah. What do you like about it?
I'd like to say we've been there at least 3 times. And once you kind of start getting like, once you kind of start playing a festival more than 1 year, right? It starts to just kind of get a special place in your heart. You know, and I've had we played a festival one time and still reflect fondly on it. But like, it's one of these things where it's like, you start to feel like, you know, the community and all the people there are extra excited to see you and have you back and stuff. And we don't know as many folks, of course, that like, you know, in Missouri as we do for like our festival in Wisconsin and stuff like that. But you get that same kind of welcoming vibe where it's just like, oh, like, you know, back here, you know, we know how this goes. We know
Yeah,
it's a good time. We know it's good people. We know what to expect. We're comfortable. So it's just kind of one of those places that has that vibe, and we've you know, gotten to know it well enough that it's just like, you know what you're getting yourself into, and you're pretty stoked about it.
that's awesome. Some of my personal favorite festival memories are when the acts, you know, make their way around the campground at night, join the campfire jams. Is that something you guys are planning on doing? Are you going to kind of cruise the campground and see where else you can get in picking?
Oh, I'm sure we will, man. Yeah, yeah. I know for a fact you've done that there in years past with the giant bonfire they've had there. I can't forget
Yeah.
some of those picking sessions there. Yeah, so we try and do that anytime we can, man. It's like, unless it's one of those things where, we're like on the road like super quick after. But as far as I'm aware, that we play the Saturday night, I think. So that means like, hey, we just gotta drive home Sunday, stay up as late, and hang out with everyone if we can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I, for one, am looking forward to seeing you guys at that one, and also maybe at Dark Star if I can make it to Saturday. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stay over to Saturday or not. But definitely appreciate you joining the podcast. Again, Ben Majeska, Armchair Boogie. You can catch him at the Pickin on Picnic, July 10th through the 13th at Lost Hill Lake in St. Clair, Missouri, as well as all the other festivals that we've mentioned and your own festival. And that's, what's the dates again? September 9th through the 11th?
September 11th through the 13th,
11th to
5th
13th.
annual Boogie Down in Yuba, Wisconsin at Driftless Music Gardens. I mean, all these festivals are insane. How lucky are we to have so many great options,
Right. Yeah. It's a hell of a good way to spend a summer. So,
all right,
cool.
man.
Well, thanks for joining the show, man. Cheers.
Yeah. Thank you, Nate.
Yep. And that is it for this week, folks. I'm excited to make the trek to cover Pickin on Picnic this summer. Again, that lineup is going to be amazing. So Del McCurry Band, Split Lip Rayfield, the Larry Keel Experience, and Armchair Boogie. I want to, again, thanks to Ben for joining the show and telling us about what they're up to. But there's many, many more great performers on that. And then there's also nightly hosted campfire jams where you're going to see folks like Ben and others running around and playing with folks in the crowds. That's always a lot of fun. Again, that's July 10th through the 13th, 2025 at the Lost Hill Lake in St. Clair, Missouri. And that's the last year at the venue. So definitely take your chance to experience Lost Hill Lake for this festival, because at least from the videos and pictures I've seen, it looks like an amazing festival ground. So I'm excited to get down there and check that out. Again, we have a ticket package for the Pickin on Picnic. Ryan and his team have hooked us up with 2 complimentary 3-day general admission passes, and that includes primitive camping and a car pass. And the total package is valued at about $475. So to get your chance to enter to win those tickets, head on over to the website at musicfestivalspodcast.com and look up to the top where the tab that says Win Festival Tickets. Click on that, and it'll take you to the page where you can enter not only that contest, but also still win tickets for the Incarceration Music and Tattoo Festival, and that's happening July 18th through the 20th at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. And coming very, very soon, we're going to have a package up for the 21st Annual Watermelon Pickers Festival, and that's happening September 4th through the 6th at the Clark County Fairgrounds in Berryville, Virginia. That's a little bit tricky to say. But when you do that, when you enter those contests, you also subscribe to the Neighborhood Weekly newsletter, and that's where we're going to give you things like festival news and announcements, some special content that's not featured on the channel or the website, as well as discount codes from our partners. And that includes Outdoorsy.com, Inikim Scooters and the Inikim Quick 4, Melted Mind Designs, custom tie-dye apparel, Cast Magic for AI transcription software, CapCut video editing, Opus Clip, which is also another editing software I use to create shorts, and the Hoam iSteady M7 phone gimbal. And they actually have a special Memorial Day promotion for Hoam that you're going to want to check out in this newsletter, because you can get a bunch of their different products for up to 50% off. And that's happening only for Memorial Day weekend. So make sure to look for that. And recently, by request, we've actually added custom-made casinos. So if you've seen me at a festival, you know that I hand out these fun little poker chips that are commemorative to the festival, have the dates, have the logo, things like that. I get those made out of custom-made casino, and a lot of people have asked me where I get them, so we're now an affiliate of them as well. Next week, we have a preview of the 21st Annual Watermelon Pickers Festival, again, Clark County Fairgrounds in Berryville, Virginia. My guest is Stacy Sinclair, the new promoter who's taking the reins of that festival. Stacy and I actually, when we had our first call, learned that we went to the same college at the same time and knew all the same people, which is a little bit weird. She's in Virginia, I'm in Ohio. We both lived in Westerville and went to Otterbein, so who knew? But I do appreciate that you're tuning in. If you are listening to the audio podcast only, make sure to check out the YouTube channel, because that's where you're going to get more videos that aren't featured on the podcast, including full set performances, full show performances from a variety of different bands and festivals. And you can also join the conversation there with your neighbors in the comments. And you can also do that on Facebook or Instagram. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, I am at Neighbor and 8 Fests. So that's at Neighbor and 8 Fests. And I always love getting DMs from you guys with feedback and questions and things like that. And then if you are doing that, why not go ahead and rate the show on all the podcast networks that you're listening to? So I appreciate everybody who does that and leaves some feedback there. But again, that's all we have for this week. I am Neighbor Nate. I am your host, and I hope to be your neighbor at a festival very soon.